Richard Trenton Chase was born on May 23, 1950, in Sacramento, California. He grew up in what appeared to be a typical middle-class household, but his childhood was far from ordinary. Chase's father was reportedly strict and abusive, contributing to a tumultuous home environment. Signs of disturbance from a young age, Chase exhibited troubling behaviors. He was often described as a reclusive child who had difficulty socializing. His early signs of mental instability included a tendency to set fires, cruelty to animals, and an obsession with killing small creatures. These behaviors are now recognized as part of the McDonald Triad, a set of 3 behavioral characteristics often seen in individuals who later display violent tendencies. As a teenager, Chase's psychological issues worsened. He developed severe hypochondria, frequently complaining about imaginary ailments. He believed that his heart would stop beating and that someone had stolen his pulmonary artery. These bizarre delusions marked the beginning of his deep descent into psychosis. In his early 20s, Chase's mental health continued to deteriorate. He moved out of his parents' home and attempted to live independently, but his erratic behavior made it difficult for him to hold a job or maintain stable housing. Chase's obsession with his health led him to seek medical help repeatedly. He believed his blood was turning into powder, a delusion that led him to start drinking animal blood in a misguided attempt to prevent this perceived catastrophe. In 1975, after injecting himself with rabbit's blood, he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia and institutionalized for a brief period. Chase exhibited further disturbing behavior, including capturing and killing birds to drink their blood. Despite his clear mental instability, he was deemed not a danger to others and was released to his mother's care. His mother weaned him off his medication, believing he no longer needed it, a decision that would have fatal consequences. Chase's mental state continued to worsen. He isolated himself, friends and family, and his apartment became a gruesome scene, filled with bloodstains from the animals he killed and consumed. His delusions deepened, and he began to believe that consuming the blood and organs of living creatures could prevent his own demise. On December 29, 1977, Chase committed his first known murder. He shot and killed Ambrose Griffin, a 51-year-old engineer, in a drive-by shooting. This random act of violence marked the beginning of Chase's transformation from a disturbed individual to a serial killer. On January 23, 1978, Chase broke into the home of Teresa Wallin, a pregnant 22-year-old woman, while her husband was at work. He shot her 3 times, then engaged in necrophilia and cannibalism, disemboweling her and smearing her blood on himself. This murder was particularly gruesome and showed the full extent of Chase's psychosis. Just 4 days later, Chase's killing spree reached its horrific peak. He entered the home of Evelyn Meroth, a 38-year-old woman, and murdered her along with her 6-year-old son Jason and a family friend, Dan Meredith. Chase drank their blood and mutilated their bodies in a scene of unimaginable horror. He would then kidnap her 22-month-old infant nephew, David Ferreira, whose body was later found decapitated and dismembered. Chase was captured on January 28, 1978, after a witness saw him near the crime scene. When police arrived at his apartment, they found it covered in bloodstains, with parts of his victims' bodies stored in containers. Chase was arrested without incident. During his trial, Chase's defense attempted to argue that he was not guilty by reason of insanity. However, the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence of premeditation and his awareness of his actions. Despite his obvious mental illness, Chase was found guilty of 6 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to death. Chase was sent to San Quentin State Prison to await execution. While on death row, he continued to display signs of severe mental illness. On December 26, 1980, he was found dead in his cell from an overdose of prescribed antidepressants, having committed suicide. Richard Chase's case is a stark example of how severe mental illness can manifest in extreme violence. His paranoid schizophrenia, coupled with his untreated delusions and compulsions, drove him to commit heinous acts. Chase's story underscores the critical importance of early intervention and continuous mental health support. Failures of the system, the tragic outcome of Chase's life and crimes, can be partly attributed to systemic failures. Despite clear signs of dangerous psychosis, Chase was released from psychiatric care and left without proper medication or supervision. His mother's decision to stop his medication further exacerbated his condition, illustrating the devastating consequences of inadequate mental health care. I'd like to take this time to pay my respects to the victims and all the families that were affected by these heinous acts on both sides. You deserve better and are forever in our prayers. May you rest in peace. Conclusion. Mental health involves our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It influences how we think, feel, and act. Mental health is crucial at every stage of life, from childhood through adulthood. Issues such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and schizophrenia can severely impact daily life, with the World Health Organization noting that 1 in 4 people will experience mental or neurological disorders at some point. Early intervention is key to preventing mental health issues from worsening. Recognizing early signs and seeking help promptly can mitigate symptoms and lead to faster recovery. Reducing stigma through education encourages more people to seek help without fear of judgment. Effective mental health care, including therapy and medication, can greatly improve an individual's quality of life. Individuals must prioritize their mental health by practicing self-care, including regular exercise, healthy eating, adequate sleep, and stress management. Awareness of one's mental health status and seeking help when needed is crucial. Community support through understanding and encouraging open discussions plays a vital role. Education about mental health should start early, and training programs can help teachers, employers, and community leaders recognize and respond to mental health issues. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more Killer Cliff Notes, and I'll see you in the next one.